Welcome back everyone to 3D model a Hobbit Door scene with Blender 2.9 and Adobe Photoshop, and this is where we left it off. So now we'll actually finish this circle. So if you click anywhere outside of here, you'll see you get this. We don't want that. All we need to do is press the escape button, and then that will actually put this like that with no actual line going around it. And all you need to do now is just come over to this actual gray part of this layer here, right click and just put rasterized layer, and then that will be fixed in place now and you can actually use it. Now there is something else. I am using this as an actual reference and drawing my own version of a hummingbird and an actual flower. But if you want to actually grab this hummingbird and actually put that within here, all you need to do is come back to the tab with this circle on, press Ctrl V once you've copied it, and you'll end up with your hummingbird here, and then just come in, click on this move tool, grab your bird, press Ctrl T, and then just bring it out so it actually fits the size of this circle here. Now what you can also do is, if you come down to say the bottom here, hold the shift button down, what it'll do is actually stretch it out for you. And this then makes it easier for you to actually put it in place on the circle, and we can also rotate it if we need to. So you can see now that it's in place, and if I press the enter button now and then come over to where the bird is, which is this layer here, and bring down the opacity to something pretty low, you can see now that you're able to actually draw over the top of this on another layer. Now I'm not actually going to do it that way, so I'm going to delete this out of the way. So if I click on this, press the delete key, I'm going to delete that out of the way, and then I'm actually going to draw it from this reference. I'm actually going to draw, like I said, my own version of this. So what I tend to do before I actually draw out the main lines is I'll do a pretty rough sketch of what I actually want. So if I come over now to the left hand side, you'll see one that's called brush. So click on your brush tool, come up to where you've got this little circle here, and what you want it to be on is hard round. Basically what that means is it's going to give it a very hard edge, and that is great for when we send it through to Blender and turning this into an actual SVG. Next thing you want to do is make sure that smoothing is set down to 0. I don't want any smoothing on while I'm actually creating the rough sketch of my hummingbird. So now we've got that, let's come over now and create a new layer. So if I come to this plus button, create a new layer, and now I'm going to draw on this layer. So I've got my tablet and my pen, and now I'm going to just start creating. The other thing is, of course, just make sure that this is on actual black, of course, so that when we draw, we'll put that out of the way, click on it, that it's going to be black like so. The other thing is, when I tend to make my sketch, I make my actual brush size a bit smaller than what it's going to be when I actually create the lines for the stained glass. So if you look on your keyboard, you've got some brackets, and you can turn those down and up, and that base will make the brush head much smaller. So now you can see I can actually draw like this. Now just to get rid of that, you can press Ctrl Z to go back, or you can press the E button and that will bring in the actual eraser, or you can come over to the left hand side and you'll see the eraser button is here. So you can just go over and that will actually get rid of that. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm going to press B or go over to the brush, which is over here, and let's start actually drawing this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get the scale of my actual bird to fit where it's going to be within this actual circle. So I want his tail to come right at the edge, pretty much, of my circle for my door frame. So I'm going to, and it can be pretty rough when you're doing this. The main thing is just to get in the right dimensions for the bird. So don't worry, and this is exactly why we are doing this pretty roughly to start with. So now I'm going to work out where I want my wings to go. So I want them to come up here and then go round to here, and I want them to come something like that. Now let's bring in this top wing. We'll bring that up to the edge again, and then let's bring this down something like that, which will fit the body coming to the other side. Maybe it bends in a little. All right, so I'm pretty much happy with that. I'm pretty much happy with this part here. So maybe these need to come in. So I'm going to press E, and I'm just going to erase those a little bit and just do this a little bit neater. So press B, Let's just make them something like that, and now you can see they fit much better. And where I want the eye is, I want the eye somewhere around here, so I'm going to put that in, and then just decide how long and where you want the beak. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create the actual flower. So I'm going to start creating the flower, something like this, and then let's go to this side, something like this, and then let's do the top part of the flower like so, and then finally just this bit that we won't be able to see much of. Let's bring that back there, and now let's bring the stem in. So we'll bring the stem in here, and then let's also just add a nice leaf like so, and maybe we'll put a halfway point on there. Just press E just to get rid of that. And now what I'm looking to do, now I've actually got the outline, is look where I'm going to have the stained glass actual pots going. So I think on the actual wing I want two pots. So I want one pot like this and one pot like this. I'm going to press E again and just get rid of this line. I really don't need it there, like so. And now I need to actually bring in these parts of the wing. So if I bring a line here, let's say one here, and finally one here. And now let's do the same. So we've got 4 lines there. So let's try and give the top wing 4 lines as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And now let's decide where we're going to bring the line from. So I think from the bottom of the beak, going through the eye, down to the bottom of the wing and following this round. And then I think we'll have another one going to these feathers. So we'll have it coming from just this point here and coming down to the actual feathers there, and then going round and finishing up at the top. And then these can actually be split apart as they are already. And then we'll have this as one island. This is one island, and I think I'm pretty much happy with that. The one thing that I do want to do is just bring these out a little bit, just so they look a bit more rounded than what they are. So let's bring these out a little bit as well, something like this. And you can see that we've got a bottom one, so we just need to put this in as well, like so. Now with this, I have enough there, enough information there to actually draw this out now into a completed version. So I'm looking, just making sure I'm happy with everything, and then what I'll do is I'll come over then to the plus button here, click on the plus to bring me a new canvas, come to the layer that I've just created, and just put down the opacity to something fairly low where I can just actually see it. Now I'm going to go back to the new layer. I'm going to make sure I've got my brush on. I'm going to come over then to my smoothing. I'm going to put it on something like 90%, something like that. And then what you'll notice is when I actually draw, it actually is really easy now to make nice, curved, beautiful lines. I'm also going to turn my brush size up just a little bit. And now I'm going to start creating these lines. So if I bring it in like so, like so, and now you can see all you need to do is just follow the work that you've actually done. I'm trying to leave a little bit of an edge on here because I know this is where the outside is going to go, and the main thing that you want to focus on here is making sure that all these lines actually touch. So if I bring this up now like so, and you can see that they're not quite touching here. Now, the straighter and smoother these lines are is directly going to be transferred into the SVG. So just bear that in mind. So now let's bring this down. And let's now concentrate on the head of my hummingbird. And all the way down to its beak, like so. And now let's try and do the outline going into the actual head, round into the wing, like so. And let's try now giving my hummingbird his eye, and now let's come and give him the top part of his body like so, and I need to bring this now all the way to here and then down, and you can see that it's looking really nice and smooth, and that is exactly what we're going for. Now let's give him his tail, bring it round and back up, and then these small feathers like so. And the more you do this, the actual better you will get with it. Now let's do the body, like so, heading up to the beak, like so, and that's looking really, really nice. Okay, so now let's split these wings up a little bit. So we'll give one part here, like we've picked out, and one part here, like so. And now let's head to these little grooves here. So I'm going to start from these grooves and go down, and then this one, like so. And now let's come to the other wing. So again, starting from where these little grooves are, it makes it a bit easier, I find. Like so, and like so. All right, so I'm really happy with that. And now let's start on our actual flower. So I'm going to start on this leaf here. I don't want to actually touch my beak there. As you can see, I just made it so I'm not quite touching it. Now let's put the center of the flower in, like so. And it's also important just to remember to leave yourself just a little bit of room. So you can see here, I want to actually close this beak off. And I want this to actually be, I don't actually want this to be a color, I just want it to be this solid metal. So I'm just going to come up and just close that off so there's no white on there. All right, so now let's do this other leaf, like so. Coming round, the back one, going through, coming round, like so. Nice and flowing, as you can see. And now let's do the stem. And don't worry if you go over this line, that's perfectly fine. And now let's do this leaf, like so, and nice and flowing again. And then let's have a center point going down it, like so. Okay, so I think I'm very, very happy with how this is. You might want to put another leaves in there or something like that, but I think I'm actually happy with it. Now, the next thing now I want to do is I want to hide this one behind it. So I'm going to click on this eye here, and you'll see now it's been hidden. And now what I want to do is just straighten any of these lines up that I'm not happy with. As you can see here, this line here I'm not quite happy with. So I'm going to press E. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. This is the eraser brush now. And then I'm just going to go over and clean these lines just up a little bit, because you can see in some places they're just overlapping that tiny bit, and you can see there I went a little bit too far. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z and just clean it up very, very gently. I'm looking here, do I want that touching a little bit more? I think it should be okay. I'm just looking at the rest of it. Do I want this quite so much? I don't think so. So I think I'm just going to chop it and then just smooth it off, like so. And now obviously I need a actual bar going around here to finish off the actual effect. It's also worth thinking about, do you actually want to split up this part here, which is going to be our sky? So do I want this touching the actual bar? So let's bring in the bar first. So what we'll do is we'll come over to the left hand side, we'll click on this ellipse again, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it out. I'm going to hold the shift button. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try and put this in actual place to where it needs to go. Now, I am struggling a little bit to drag this out with my actual pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my pen down and I'm going to use the mouse to actually do this. Sometimes that happens and it is easier to use the mouse on some parts of it. So now I'm going to click, drag, hold the shift button and just try and fit into this actual circle so it's going around the outside. So I'm using shift and spacebar and just dragging it out, and you can see nearly got it there. Let's bring it out a little bit like so. Bring it in just that tiny bit and release. Let it just think about what it's doing, and there we go. Now at the top here you can see you've got one that says fill. We don't want this filled, so we'll come up to there and click this bracket going through this white. It means actually it doesn't put anything in there, so it means it's empty. Now let's come to where it says stroke, and if we turn this stroke up now, you will see that when we put this on block, so this one here, there we go. And now you can see we've actually got that. And then I'm going to press Ctrl Z just to take that off, and now I've got my circle back. Now, look at the line thickness of how thick this is in comparison to this line going round. You can see here it's slightly touching, and I think I actually want them touching here. And the reason for that is I want to break up these islands. As you can see here, I would like different islands because that then means I will have different colors within my actual glass. So once you're happy with this and then the same thickness, come over to the right hand side here, right click and go up to rasterize layer, and there we go. Now let's finish this off. I need to clean these up. And I need to make sure that these are actually joining these parts going around. So again, I'm going to come to my brush, and again, I'm going to switch to my actual pen. I'm going to come in and just make sure they're actually touching here like so. And here, and here, and here, and then anywhere else. I think that should be absolutely fine. Now let's clean these up a bit. So we'll press E again. I'm going to bring it down very, very slowly. And you can see there that because this is on a different layer, I need to come to this layer here, which is this here. And then I can come in, look, and just minus those out of the way. And because they're not drawing, I can go right up to that actual side and not have to worry about deleting this line. Now, once you're happy with it, the next thing you need to do is you need to come over to the right hand side, grab your ellipse, shift click your actual layer, right click then and put merge layers. And you're going to merge down like so, and now you can come down and actually hide the grey box, and you should be left with something like this. Now finished, I'm actually going to, you can either dock it or you can just close it like so. And then what we're going to do now is turn this into actual an SVG. So I hope you enjoyed creating that, and on the next lesson what we'll do is actually change this into an SVG and bring it into Blender. I know I really enjoy this part actually of the course. So I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks a lot everyone, bye bye.